Hey, how's it going, Kaja?
It's going good, thank you.
Do I say it right, Kaja?
Kaya, yes.
All
Kaya.
right. Kaja, first of all, thanks. I mean, you're still a very young player, and you guys have a lot of time now. So thank you so much for doing this. This is amazing, especially for all the young players that are going to watch this. That's why I'm doing that. I want them to look up to you guys and see that you're still human beings, and that you're yeah, amazing tennis players, and you do those social things as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah, don't worry. Thank you for inviting me.
Kaja, you're from Slovenia, right?
Yes.
Where in Slovenia?
It's actually like the Central Europe, so it's next to Italy and Hungary and Croatia and Austria.
Which city?
Ljubljana.
Ljubljana. All right. So yeah, I'm asking because I'm from Croatia. My parents are from Croatia, and we drove a lot of times through there. And I played some junior tournaments, I think, in Slovenia too. So yeah, nice area there, the whole Balkan area, and a lot of tournaments for players as well. Like they do a good job, I think. So, guys, so you were 19, right?
Yes.
And
19.
so your highest ranking was like 100 and something, and that's already like massive for your age. Have you always been in your country one of the best, like in junior years? Bring us, I don't know, you're still young, but like when you were like 10, 11, 12, 13, let's bring us a little bit to your junior years. Like how did that go?
Well, I wasn't amongst the best when I was 10, 11, 12. I think I was like top 10. But not like the best. I think I was still pretty small. I couldn't compete against like a really like the best ones. I was never like in the top three. And then I think to 14 was the first time I was like a top in Slovenia. And then in juniors it went pretty fast from then on. So.
And then so how did the transition go? Obviously really well for you. So you like to play against adults like the ladies that are so long on the tour. So how did that go? Did you find any difference obviously in match play where the structure and patterns a little bit different they played? So how did you transition?
Yeah, well, I mean, at first it was a bit hard. I transitioned when I was, I think, 17. And the first 2 years were a bit hard for me. I mean, I was around 500 till the middle of 2018, I think. And then it was pretty hard because, at top 400, each player is like really strong on the WTA. There's a lot of mental toughness amongst those players. So it's much different than in juniors because, like sometimes if you just stick in juniors, like if you try to play against them, then their level's going to go like up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And, on the pro tour, there's not a lot of that. There's more like everyone's fighting for it. It's their lives and their jobs. So I think that was the hardest thing. And then I think I won like a 25K and it went like really fast, really high from there. I came like to the top 200 in I think 3 months. So it was pretty fast from then. But before that, I was like struggling for like a year, I think.
So Nick, what do you think is the biggest difference when you play the ladies who are a little bit longer on tour, like just the experience, or like I mean like you're still going to develop in the next years as well. So like what do you see like is one of the hardest things when you face those ladies on the tour?
I think it's just like the physical and the experience part. I mean, but for me, it was mostly physical. I mean, most people don't understand that when you're still developing from like 15, 16 to 19, there's like a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And, these ladies that you're playing against, they're already, 20, 25, 27. There's a whole mix of them. And I guess you gotta stay patient for a while. Just, get used to the tempo. I know that for me, it was a bit harder to play against stronger players for a while. I just couldn't do it that good. But then after a while, I think I got a bit stronger. When I got to like 18, I think I did like the next step in my tennis game. And yeah, and especially like you just gotta stay patient. I mean, I was pretty bummed when I, didn't go high for like a year because I thought, like when you finish juniors, you start playing pro and all goes so fast, like some players.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you just gotta stick to your path. I mean, there's a lot of different players. Some go faster, some go slower. So um, yeah, I think that's what I learned. And after a while, it got easier, and I'm at like a new level. So I'm trying to do the same as before, because the higher you go, you know, the more tough you have to be mentally and physically.
And then, I had, you know, um, Noah Rubin. He's from the U.S. and he was in the U.S. a really good junior, always top in the country. And he said like it was hard for him winning everything in junior years and then becoming like professional and playing with the guys and having phases where he didn't go in months and winning, and then that was really hard for him. Did you see that too? That you won a lot when you were 14, 15, 16? And then playing with the ladies, like I always say with the ladies, like because like with the experienced WTA players, did you have that a little bit too, that you felt like, oh, I'm not winning every match anymore and I have to try to recalibrate and work on certain things more?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at that time, it was pretty hard because I was still playing juniors, and I like got a lot of wins. I was like top 10 in juniors, and I thought, this should be easy going. And then I think I lost like 5, 6 matches on 25Ks, and I thought to me like, oh my gosh, I suck at tennis. I should probably stop. But at the same time, when that happened, when that moment came, because I knew we were working on stuff, but then you're still losing, and you're losing. It's still sad. And yeah, and then at that time when I was like feeling the most down, I just said to myself, I gotta be patient. I was talking to my coach a lot. He said, just take some pressure off of you, stay calm. And yeah, and then I went to the next tournament, and I just got a win. And it's like, of the whole tournament, I didn't lose a set. And I think it's such a like small difference between losing the first round and winning the whole tournament. Just gotta like do the mental, it has to click in your mind, and you have to be like ready. You have to feel good on the court, and it's just about developing your game.
Yes, and then it's nice to hear from you as a 19-year-old that that it shifted all the way back, right? The guys, Marius Kopila had before, he was top 50 and he made his breakthrough when he was 25, 6, right? So for him, for example, to break into the top 100, and I just, you have such a long time, and I think that's important, as you said. And then another thing, what's important, I guess, is when you said when you won your first challenger, that you see you belong there, and the confidence with what you play is different, right? When you go into the next tournaments, you just see the ball differently and feel it differently, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, after I got that first win, I felt like I was feeling like really strong physically again, and then went really fast from there. I mean, after one tournament year, like I jumped from 500 to 300, and it's still a lot of 200, but I had this feeling that I can do it, and it wasn't hard anymore because I just knew I could win it. And it's really important that you go through all of these stages, because if you don't, you're just like at a place you're, what am I for? Because I just love it. And yeah, so I think when you feel like you're there, you can actually stay there for.
And did your parents coach you when you were young? I always ask because a lot of players had their dad or mom coaching. How did you start? Like or who coached you, or like who's your coach at the moment as well? Then.
Well, I have a coach now that I had when I was 9 years old. His name is Davor, and my parents are actually doctors. So we actually went to this tennis camp every year in like the beginning of May, and I started playing for a bit, and then went to like a little club, and I practiced twice per week. But it was pretty interesting because I never really thought I was gonna be a professional. I always thought I was gonna like go to high school and then university. I actually decided to be pro after I won the Orange Bowl, so it's a pretty weird transition. But at the same time, my parents are both academics, so I thought to myself, you know, you don't think you're gonna be a professional sportsman after a while. So yeah.
So yeah, all right. When you and I asked that question in every interview I have because it's important to me. So you know, a lot of parents always say my kid has to play with the best kid in the program, and best kids always. Did you ever have any issues with training with girls that are not as good as you, or like could you always find something you could work on when you played those girls? You know, because I have a lot of, and you know, I used to have a lot of kids as well. They're like 13, 12, 14, and they always had the thought I only have to play with good people. Like how is it for you? What do you when you were playing like in junior years?
Well, when I came at 14, when I got to like a top player country, there were no girls that were better than me that I can train with, and of course I always played with someone who wasn't as good, or it was like a boy, which was a bit different still because there's a whole boy at 15. And, I always played with someone who wasn't like as good as me. So
Hmm.
I tried to take everything I could from it. My coach was really supportive with that. A lot of these talks. What should I get from the training?
Hmm.
What should I, like not do, or what should I focus on? And we still sometimes have the problem of, people not. We don't have people to practice in, in Slovenia because it's a pretty small country. But we're like fixing it. I'm practicing with stronger player on the tournament, and so yeah, I thought, you know, um, I just thought to myself, I'll get enough matches on tournaments, but I got the training experience with some other players.
And what with the other players from Slovenia that would have Tamara Zidanček and Polona? Like, do you train with them some like when you're back in your country, or what? Who do you train with mainly? Like when you're back in Slovenia?
Well, we try to practice with each other, but actually they live about an hour away from me,
Okay.
both of them. So basically, I don't practice with them much. I still practice with some boys, usually, and but we try to make it happen with these girls. There are also some other girls from Slovenia that are also pro, but they're not like as high as them. So there's like the Fed Cup team, Pia Lodic, Nika Radicic. Yeah, we practice with all of them. So
Okay.
yeah.
And so you played second round Wimbledon last year, and you know we don't obviously there are not a lot of grass courts in probably in Slovenia or in Croatia or in Serbia, right? So how was the first time being on grass court for you?
Well, I
Oh,
had
like before you had experience probably, but like you know how was grass court playing compared to the other
yeah.
surfaces for young?
Well, I had my first experience was actually when I was my first year in juniors,
Hmm.
I think. And there's like a tournament called Roehampton before it,
Hmm.
so where the qualifying is played still. And that was my first experience with grass, and I fell in love with grass because it's so special. It's like a carpet. It's like, it feels like you're home kind of. And I know some players don't like it, but the thing is, with me, I always had the mindset of, no one's that prepared on this surface because no one actually has it at home. Um, but I thought to myself, like, it's the same for everyone, so might as well just do the best that I can and have some advantage at it.
Do you have in Slovenia still like indoors? Do you have like in you know I was born and raised in Germany and we have a lot of carpet indoors and I had them. when you were indoors in Slovenia, like in your home city, what do you have there? Like what surface? Is like hard courts or like clay or?
It's just clay. I grew up on clay, so we never played on hard courts because when I was growing up we had maybe one hard court
Oh wow.
in the whole like in Ljubljana, and now there are about three, but yeah, still mostly clay.
Yeah.
So I think that's why my game style developed in the way that it has, and
Hmm.
also yeah, I started playing on hard court much later. My whole junior career was on clay court, and I think my first match on hard court was the end of 2015, and
Hmm.
then the Australian Open was the second tournament. So it's crazy that I feel as good as I feel on hard courts now, if you look at how much I practiced on
Yeah.
hard court in general.
Same here. When I was younger, we only played on red clay, obviously in Germany, right?
Yeah.
And then playing futures on hard court in Turkey or wherever we went. Like it's just I never felt comfortable. So now living in the U.S. 10 years, it's different. You get used to things. So yeah, so nice. Yeah. So how was your second round Wimbledon experience? Like, get us a little bit through. You won your first match against who did you play last year? The first match.
Yeah, actually, I played against Kristina Pliskova,
Uh-huh.
but it was actually much crazier than that because I wasn't feeling too good before qualifying. I had like a wrist problem or with my left wrist,
Hmm.
and then I won the first qualifying round 10-8 in the third, and yeah, it was just crazy. And then I just kind of rushed to qualify. No, actually, the second match I was losing 6-4, 1-4
Oh wow.
against this girl, and then I just kind of got back and won against Kristina Pliskova, which was also a tough match. I think it was 6-4 in the third. She's a really good server, so it's really hard on grass court. Yeah.
And what do you like to do when you have do you like when you have lessons? Do you like to hit with your coach or hit? Do you have one hitting partners or two on the court? So every player is different. Some people like to have two players on the court and they move you around left and right. Some people like when the coach only feeds the ball in. What do you like when you're on court? What do you like working on?
Well, if we have two players, then well, we're lucky if we get two players. So yeah, I love to do hard practice with two of them. But also lately, I've been practicing with some, you know, ATP pros from Slovenia.
Hmm.
Maybe not like the top ones, but I played with Niklas Buršak, if you know him, and then Blaž Kaučić one time. So
Hmm.
they're trying to help me a lot with also that I can do like a really hard practice. But if I would choose my perfect training, I would probably do like a drop shot or a cross court session because I just like it's a lot of working on the feeling, and I just really like to do that a lot. So, but I think just all around stuff. I love to work on my volleys, on my serve. I think the hardest part for me is probably the ground strokes. That they're feeding me balls from like a basket or something, and you have to do like a lot of repetitions. I think that's the hard part, but I think it's like really important for the tennis development. So I get through it as much as I can. Yeah.
And then when you did you always have a lot of match training when you didn't have during the week when you didn't have a lot of tournaments? Did your coach set a lot of matches up for you? Like, did you play a lot as well? That's another thing, a lot of kids don't do anymore. They just do lessons and they don't play matches anymore.
I The first time I like really serious block of like practice on a tournament was in Shenzhen this year. I lost the first round of qualifying, and it was pretty hard. But at the same time, I had like a really good conditions there. You got free courts, and there was a lot of girls. And so me and my coach, we kind of did like mostly we did in the morning. We did session where obviously just he and I were on the court, and he was like feeding me balls or stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then later in the day, I would hit like with a pro player. We played like a set with most of them. Also, if like a good player called me to practice with them, I would do it. I practiced with Belinda Bencic once, and we played a set, and it was like really amazing to see how close you are to these players, but also what you can improve on and just work on it as much as you can.
Okay. And Dida Vilovic has a question. What was your game plan against Venus in Acapulco this year? That's an interesting
Okay.
question.
Yeah, so we kind of decided that I would just try to move her around as much as I can. We all knew that she's like still good from um, from one spot. She still has the shots. She still has like the serve, but I knew I was better physically. So I just tried to stick to it, and I think I was pretty nervous at the beginning. I think the third set was the best for me. I just like really stuck to that plan and got it. But Acapulco is also really special. The ball bounces really high, so I think all players had a lot of problems with that, especially girls. I mean, boys are, you know, they're really good everywhere. So I just can't say that. But I think for me it was really specific. So I also tried to play like a lot of different shots. I think that also kind of confused her in the third set. So yeah.
Rudy. I'm gonna have Rudy after that. Rudy's how can I be as good as you?
Oh man, you gotta practice them more.
Yeah, Rudy. I'm excited to have Rudy
He's
because
better than me anyway. So
I'm gonna Rudy. Like at my first club and then in Germany, like Rudy was like 4 or 5 when he was hitting there, and I was playing there when I was younger still. So I'm excited to have Rudy on here in a minute.
yeah, I want to know what he says about tennis also. Like we grew up like in the same age in juniors, so yeah, I wonder what he'll say. So.
All right, and then so are there a lot of tournaments in Slovenia? Like, does the federation have? Actually, let's put it. Do you have to travel? I guess Italy's close, Croatia, Serbia, like in all those countries. So, where did you play most of the ITF tournaments and the money tournaments?
Well, we have 115K in Slovenia, and that's all there is professionals. And juniors, I think we had like 3. I'm not sure they're all still playing. So I think it was we went to Croatia, we went to Italy, Austria. I usually never got any wild cards, so I just had to like go through all of the stages again. And but my first one that I did like a result was in Italy, and we just came there. I wasn't even in the qualifying, so I basically had to win 3 rounds of qualies, which I didn't know I was even gonna get in. And then I got to the semifinals, and I thought to myself, "Wow, like that was pretty fast." So, and then it just went up from there.
And it's amazing. You've been like 700, 500, 200, and 100. So it goes quickly. So as soon as the virus will be hopefully gone soon, and tennis gets back to normal, what is your next goals? Like you qualify for Wimbledon. So what is your outline and goals you have? Like when do you want to be like top 100? What's your goal on top 50?
Yeah, well, obviously the goal is first top 100. I mean that would be a nice thing to achieve this year. I think I'm already like a bit ready for it because I played like last year. I was close to a top 100, but I haven't beaten a lot of players in the top 100. And now I played like a lot more matches against them,
Hmm.
so I feel like I'm much more ready now than I was. But also at the same time, I'm 120 right now, so I probably still have to play qualifying games. So I wanna, I wanna. Sorry, my phone's here. I'm saying it for juniors, just juniors, guys. And yeah, so but I want to work on my game some more. I think if I get even stronger physically, if I I'm that physically ready that I can play a lot of tournaments and not even have problems with my muscles or with my body, I think that would be really awesome. And I think if I'm consistent, because I didn't play last year, I didn't play in August, September, even July. I played just a little because I had to finish school, so I don't have any points
Points to defend.
from that time. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it can be a little bit easier for but I don't know how it's gonna go. I
Yeah.
just want to be the best as I can this year. Yeah.
All right. And Kaya, let's do like one or two more questions. One is from Phillips Joshua. Hi, Kaya. Thanks for doing this. I was wondering how much of a pre-match plan is based on your own game, on you, what you do, and how much on your opponent's game when you
So
prepare before the matches. Do you think like, all right, it's important what I do, I dictate, or like do you look at your opponent a lot?
well, it mostly consists of on my game because I think most times if I'm like stable mentally, if I'm consistent, I think it's much, it's much more important to me than the other game. But I think the better I get, the more there's like preparation for the better players, especially the night before I try to like do visualization, and it's mostly based on the shot I should play on the match. So for example, against Venus or Serena or other players in the top 100 that I played, I think last year in goal with Kunic and yeah, some players. I just we like a plan with my coach. We decide what shot is the most or
Mm-hmm.
what should I be more focused on, and I try to involve that in in my visualization, in my mind game, and my pre-game, and we also try to include that in our warm up on
Okay.
when I'm warming up like tennis warm up.
And then after matches, how long do you need? I asked Damir the same question for feedback. He said like probably for him it's like a day. If it's a really bad match, it's 2 days before he wants to hear something. So how do you take feedback and in your young years, how important you think the feedback is for you?
When I lose or when I win?
Um, Both. No, mainly obviously when you win, it's important to pick the things that didn't go well as well, obviously. But like when you lose, for example, and a lot of young kids. That's why I ask you. A lot of young kids have parents or coaches who are very intense, and then especially as parents, I saw that too many times in my junior years. You go to a tournament, you lose in 3 sets, 7-6. You played 4 hours, and then you sit in the back of the car, and then father or mother start like, hey, on the first point in the third set at 4 o'clock at 8 minutes, you hit the ball cross court. Why didn't you go down the line? You like, I just want to have my piece. So that's why I asked. I want all those parents who put the kids under pressure after the matches, especially when they go into the car, like leave your kids a little bit alone and give them some time to breathe. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I'm really lucky with my parents. They always left me alone. Even um, when everyone else was like forcing their children to play or something, they always gave me like a choice of whatever I want to do. If
Mm-hmm.
I said like I don't want to do that, they always said okay, then you don't have to do it. But I think I was always really competitive. So after each junior loss, almost, I just cried my eyes out every time.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, there weren't that many losses. I think mostly on hard courts, and that those ones hurt the most. Because because I didn't play much on hard court, and then I felt like I'm never gonna get it right. But I feel like after a loss, I need like at least the end of the day and the next day to recover from it because I think that's like a really important time zone. Because when you lose, you're like in this mindset where you have like one thing in your mind, and when everyone else is talking to you, that's the only thing you can think of. And I'm at least me. I'm usually really annoyed if someone wants to talk to me about it if I'm not ready. So what me and my coach do is he leaves alone for a while, and then he asks me if I'm ready for it, if I'm ready to talk about it. And then usually after a day, I'm ready for it, and I come to him and we talk about it. We watch the match if we have the option. But I feel like mostly it's really important that you just sleep on it, and then the next day, you look at all the reasons why you love playing, why you want to continue. I think this is a really important process because there are a lot more losses in Pro Tour than there are, younger on. People don't see how much professional players actually lose, except, like the top three, which are, they just win so much. So I think for me, it's really important that I do this because that's why I can keep going. It's not in our human nature that we lose so much, and then you go on the internet and people that bet on you, they're like really upset or something, and then you can't even see straight and you're really mad. So yeah, I try to take my mind off of it as well. I just usually watch some movies, read some books. But that usually happens when I'm like the most stressed about losing. That's like when you have like a lot of chances during the match, when you feel like, oh my gosh, I could have done more. This match was like, I didn't play this match very well. But if I felt like it was a really good match and that I lost and that I gave my all, I'm usually not as upset. Sorry.
No problem.
And yeah, and then I just feel like I need 5, like, I don't know, 2-3 hours, and then I can talk about it because I want their opinion as soon as I can, so that it can stay in my mind, so that I know what I did wrong and I can actually, sorry, that I can actually recover from it and know much. So I would say if someone's really upset, then just like take time, take as much time as you need, and just leave it alone. But if you are actually in a place where you're satisfied with your match, then you usually don't need as much time. So you just need to like talk about it with someone and maybe even take some advice from them. If it's the right person, of course. Like my coach, I feel like he's the right person.
Okay. All right, let's do like one more or two more, and then I'll let you go, Kai. I know you.
That's
Let
okay,
me see.
don't worry. People just call me at the wrong moments all the time, so.
No problem. What kind of ritual do you have to make you relax under pressures? Like some players do the string, some players breathe in and breathe out, some players just imagine something positive and nice. What do you do to deal with pressure on the court? Do you have any rituals?
So during the match? Okay, yeah. Well, I work with a psychologist, and we do a lot of work on that, and I know a lot of different techniques. It's usually just like a breathing exercise. So I try to you breathe in and then you let the thing that's really bothering you, out, exhale. I try to look at the strings as much as I can. There's this thing where you also choose one spot on the court, and you go back to it all the time. For me, that's sometimes my coach, because he's really calm. So whenever I look at him, he's the guy that I can do, and I'm not upset about it, and I calm down really much faster. So I would say that, but there are a lot of different techniques, and I think it's just I sometimes cover my face with a towel just so I can forget about everything else and focus on myself. Sometimes some music in the background of my head plays, and that relaxes me. So I think each person has to try to see
different ways and see what fits.
What works for them the most. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about on-court coaching? For do you like that? Do you think it's something good, or some players say, look, I figured out myself. Some players say I like to talk to my coach. What do you like?
Well, this year we had 2 different types of coaching. On Australian Open, it was the coaching where you could just go to your coach in the middle of a set or something, and you could talk to him nonstop, and he could also say some stuff when you were on his side. And then there's the coaching that the coach goes, to you.
Yes, to the court.
Yeah, and I think for me it works better when the coach comes.
Okay.
But I think my opinion on it is that should be like really used in junior tournaments. I think if we use that in like juniors from early stages, when children, they really need some help with understanding the game, with some tactics, and they don't really know how to use it yet. But when you go to the pro level, I think the beauty of the game is that you're all alone on the court, and it's usually what makes it such a mental game. And sometimes it makes it easier with a coach. So I would say, of course, sometimes it helps you, but in general, I think the better solution would be to use it on the juniors and then just let players be on the pro level. That's my opinion on it.
Okay. All right, Kaja. Last question. What do you like to work on the court, and what don't you like to work on the court? Anything technique, patterns, whatever comes to your mind. So what do you like? Oh, I have to do that today, or like, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to serve +1, or like whatever patterns you guys work on.
Well, I love like mini games, like mini tennis, and then there's this game when you play volley to volley, and I think just competing in anything at all makes me feel great. I don't know why, but yeah, I think all sportsmen should feel this way. And I think I like it when there's like cones on the court and then you have to hit them with your serve. I think it makes this exercise much more interesting, and I'm really looking forward to it. But on the other hand, when I feel like when I know I have to do a hard practice, I just try to prepare to it mentally, and after you do it, it's like the best feeling ever. Like feel like I did something really great today. So yeah, I think that's the best feeling of the practice, when you go home and you feel like today was a really good day. So it's definitely gonna help me.
Well, Kaja, awesome. Like in Slovenian, I think I know only one word, because we had a neighbor at our beach house in Croatia, and it was brisača. That's towel, right?
Brisača is a towel.
You see, I remember that.
And
no,
it's
I had
different
like
in Croatian. It's ručnik.
You can say ručnik, or you say if you go to Dalmatia more, like in the south, they say šugaman. It's like more slang, no, that's
it's very different. Yeah.
So that's
but
awesome.
Good job. Most people don't know anything.
Yeah, but like, it's fun. We're all close there, all countries, and thank you so much for doing that. You're awesome, young lady. I wish you.
Thank you.
I wish that you obviously go deep in all the majors, and that everything you wish and you want with your tennis that comes true. And again, thank you so much, because this is for me important. So many young girls look to you, and they're like 13, 12 now, and they're like, oh, I want to be like Kaja, I want to be top 100, and they just see that you're like a wonderful young lady, and so I hope a lot of kids gonna see that and get more positive things out of tennis, and we have to promote our sport.
For sure. I think it's really important for young children to like have at least some help, because it's a really difficult process anywhere you go. In tennis, if you want to be a professional. So if I can help anyone, that's pretty awesome.
That's nice of you. So now you can write back to Rudy when Rudy's going to be online. And then Rudy, if you're still watching, 20 Minuten Pause. I need to drink something, and then I'll get Rudy on here. And
thought boys were supposed to write to girls, not girls to boys. Anyways, don't worry about
Kaja.
it.
Then I hope you stay healthy in your family, and good luck for when the courts are opened again. And thanks again for that you've done that with us here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
Bye, Kaja.